What's going on, everybody? It's Sean, joined again by my daughter Mackenzie, and today a reaction to the classics. We got a fun one. We got Goodbye Yellow Brick Road from Elton John. If it's your first time joining us here, please hit that subscribe button down below. What are you waiting for? We put up stuff every single day. There's going to be plenty of stuff here that you are going to like. Also, hit that thumbs up. It really helps us. And if you'd like to support us in any way for as little as $1 a month, check out our Patreon link below, as well as all of our social media links. Mackenzie, you came to me a few months ago and said, hey, I want to do Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. There's a lot of people out there on our channel that have been clamoring for another Elton. Your brother and I have only done one, Honky Chateau. You can check that out in the links below. But you chose a big one.
Yeah.
It was his 7th studio album, released in October of 1973. It's 76 minutes long and sold over 30 million worldwide. Why do we consider it his best album? I'm not sure if that's true or not. Ranked 91st on the Rolling Stones 500 Greatest Albums of All Time, and in 2003 was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Bernie Taupin, the famous songwriter and collaborator with Elton, wrote all of the lyrics in 2.5 weeks, and supposedly Elton composed all the music in just 3 days in Kingston, Jamaica. He wanted to go to Jamaica originally because the Rolling Stones had just done Goat Head Soup there. And so he thought, I'm going to do it here. It didn't work out. They ended up going to France, recording it in a little over 2 weeks. And we're going to start this off with a big one. Funeral for a Friend / Love Lies Bleeding. It's 11 minutes and 9 seconds long. Elton wrote the first part, the instrumental part, Funeral for a Friend, because he was thinking about what kind of music he wanted played at his own funeral. He wrote it on an ARP synthesizer, and then he recorded Love Lies Bleeding right afterwards. So it became one piece and very well thought of by fans and critics still to this day. One of the reasons why he put them together is because Funeral for a Friend ends in the chord of A and Love Lies Bleeding starts in the chord of A. So it kind of went together. Bernie used death symbolism as an angry take on a breakup song, as in the song She Left a Year Ago, kills him to think of. So the first part of this 6 minutes of instrumental is a very strange way, Mackenzie, of starting an album. To start an epic album with 6 minutes of instrumentation is a little weird to me. It's fine. The song itself, Love Lies Bleeding, it's classic Elton. You got pianos, you got drums backing to the very end. I thought it was a pretty good opener. What did you think?
Yeah, I like how they combined them. I think it has a smooth fade in now in between the songs.
Yeah, it does. That's a good point.
I thought Funeral for a Friend, the first part of it was okay. It wasn't really anything special. I thought it got better as it went on.
Yes.
I haven't really heard that many instrumentals, so I can't really judge it that much. I don't really have anything to compare it to.
When you first listened to it, what did you think about, like, is the music ever going to start, or the lyrics ever going to start?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I was kind of thinking. So, you liked it all right?
Yeah.
Now we're going to move to the famous Candle in the Wind. I was not familiar with this version, okay? I was born in 1971, so I was only 2 years old, so I don't remember this thing rocking on the radio. This version is actually in the Rolling Stones top 500 songs of all time. This version's about Marilyn Monroe. Mackenzie, the one I know, you know neither one, it was way before your time on both of them, was the Princess Diana one. This one, because I'd heard the other one first, took me a while to get used to. I had to listen to it on repeat, but I ended up liking it pretty well. A little strange for me. Neither one of them had ever met Marilyn. I mean, you know, Elton talks about it in the song, but kind of a strange subject matter just to me. But the song definitely works. It's a pretty song. Bernie was actually inspired to write the song after hearing the phrase Candle in the Wind used in tribute to Janis Joplin. He said the song is about the idea of fame or youth or somebody being cut short in the prime of their life. It could have been about James Dean, Montgomery Clift, or Jim Morrison, how we glamorize death but we immortalize people. Only went to number 11 in the UK at the time and was not released in the US. They released Benny and the Jets instead. For me, it's not as emotional of a performance by Elton as on the later one for Princess Diana, which is pretty obvious because he knew Princess Diana. He didn't know Marilyn, so I'm not faulting him on that. There's more backing vocals on this one, but for me, the subject of what Bernie said about how we glamorize people in the famous 27 Club, and you know, Joplin, Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, we become more famous sometimes in death and glamorized than we are in life, and I think that's part of what he was trying to say there too. But a good performance. What did you think of this one?
I thought Bernie did a very good job on this song. I think the lyrics are one of the best on the album.
Well, that's high praise from you because you are actually a songwriter. You've written several songs, so I was wondering what you thought of that. So What'd you think about just the overall song besides the songwriting?
I like how it's real. That's something I like about it. They don't try to sugarcoat stuff.
Now we're up to song number 3, Benny and the Jets, over 5-minute song. I only actually knew a couple songs on this whole 17-track album. This was one of them. Elton actually didn't want to release this as a single. He thought it would fail. Gets released in the U.S., goes all the way to number 1, and also goes to number 15 on what at the time was known as the Hot Soul Singles chart. So brought him in kind of to a whole new audience. Wasn't released as a single in the UK until 1976, and people spell it different ways depending on where it was released. It's Benny, B-E-N-N-I-E, or B-E-N-N-Y, depending on where you are and what version of the single that you got. Benny is a female. She's a sci-fi rock prototypical goddess. Those were kind of Elton's words, more or less. It's a satire on the music industry that Bernie wrote. Some interesting things in the song. Very advanced arrangement. And the first half of the song, for me, sounded kind of Pink Floyd-ish with the treatment on Elton's voice and the way things were going on. What did you think of this?
This was one of my favorites on the album.
Okay. Mine too.
I think it's made unique by the crowd sounds, all the cheering and that stuff, and the stutter, Bubba Benny.
Yeah, agreed. Producer Gus Dudgeon said he wanted to bring that live. He wanted to really buy into the concept of that he was singing about this fake band.
I think I would have enjoyed it a bit more if he didn't sing higher for so much at the end of the song. I think like a bit of it would have been fine, but I think he kind of overdid it.
Boy, he does get high too, doesn't he, man? It's insane. Now we're already going to start out side 2 with Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, the title track. It's only a little over 3 minutes long. It's 380 on the Rolling Stones top 500 songs of all time. A huge hit in both the U.S. and the U.K. It was said that Bernie Taupin's first movie that he's ever saw was The Wizard of Oz, so that's why he used this Yellow Brick Road. It was, of course, what Dorothy and her friends were supposed to take. We recently actually watched this movie. You never seen it. I saw it when I was like 10, so I didn't remember it. It's a kind of a take on wanting to give up the wealth and fame to go back to a simpler life. People have speculated Bernie always liked to be low-key and out of the spotlight. By this time, Elton was living... he was embracing his celebrity, to say the least. So it probably was more relevant to Bernie. This song is fantastic. The orchestra is fantastic. It's got a classic guitar on there. The only issue I have with this song at all is I wish it was longer, because there's some longer songs in here. I wish we would have kept going. But what did you think of this?
I think it showed his voice very well.
Yes.
I liked how, he changed the way his voice sounded at different parts of the song. And whenever I listened to it, it just seemed a lot shorter than it actually was. I know it was short already, but it just seemed even shorter than that.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point with his voice. He has such control over his voice and such a good voice that he is able to actually take you in different places emotionally in the song. Not with necessarily the lyrics all the time, but just with the inflection of his voice. And that's a rare thing and even harder to find now, but one of my standouts on the album.
Next up is The Song Has No Title. It is only a little over 2 minutes, and it is the shortest song on the album. It's unique in that Elton recorded the entire track all by himself.
Yeah, there are 3 acoustic piano tracks, an electric piano, 2 organ parts, and the mellotron. Don't be fooled, that flute part you're hearing is actually the mellotron. Plus, there are more than 4 separate layers of vocals, all done by Elton as well. He wants to live life and see and experience everything. In the chorus, he says, oh, this song's got no title, just words and a tune. An interesting thing to put together. A lot of work for a 2 minute and 23 second song to put all of that together, but it shows his diversity. And it's interesting because he can't play all those multiple instruments, so he attacked it a different way, which shows a lot of skill as well, by doing them all on a keyboard-based instrument. The only guys I can think of, and I know there's several out there, but the main 2 guys who can play all the instruments and do it all themselves are, of course, Paul McCartney and Prince. Otherwise, no one else really tries to tackle this. So I thought it was wonderful that Elton tackled this. I thought it was funny that he said the song has no title and named it that. What did you think of this song?
I think the chorus is really catchy.
It's very catchy, yes.
I think the chorus is very catchy.
Very.
And I like the irony of the title and the title line. And I think how short the song is kind of fits with the meaning.
Yeah, with the irony. That's true. That's true. It would have been weird if it was a 7-minute epic. That's a good point. Very good point. Next up is the 4-minute Gray Seal. Things are not going well for him, never quite gets the best of things. Gray seals are perhaps the most famous and noticeable marine life that is native to the British Isles. You have a lot more instrumentation in here, bass, electric guitar, drums kind of driving this. When he's singing Gray Seal to me, oh, you also got a mellotron, don't want to forget that. When he's singing Gray Seal to me, for like before I looked at the song titles and the lyrics, because I listened to this one time, I was listening to the album once before I knew anything about it just to get a feel. I kept thinking he was singing Gracie, Gracie. So that made more sense to me. I went back and saw Gray Seal, but it's an alright song. What'd you think of it?
I really don't understand the lyrics at all.
No, they're pretty nonsensical. You don't get that very often with a Bernie and Elton track.
No, but the instrumentation was great. It's like the best and most fun on this album, I think.
Yeah, it does bring on this mood of like, all right, man, let's get after it. So, yeah, all in all, lyrics a little weird, but every song doesn't have to have Dylan-esque lyrics, right? So it's a song that just makes you feel good. And next we're going to come to, how would I put this nicely for me, Mac? An interesting track, Jamaica Jerk Off. It's 3 minutes, 39 seconds long. Bernie says himself, he has no idea where the lyrics from this came from. He imagined it's from their adventures in that little 2-week stay in Jamaica, which I imagine that was probably pretty interesting for them. It's a reggae song. I'm not feeling it, man, and I feel like it's totally out of place here. But then on the other hand, if it wasn't here, then I might be slamming them saying every song sounds very similar. There's another song on here that we're going to get to later that I also don't think belongs, but I applaud the effort. I just wasn't feeling it. What did you think of this?
It definitely has a different vibe than the rest of the songs, but I do like how it's different and it gives variety. It's pretty much what you would expect from a song that's about Jamaica.
Right, yeah, the reggae feel.
You can tell I don't think it's really supposed to be some masterpiece.
No, it's not.
It's kind of supposed to be more of just a fun song, and I think it is.
Now we're up to the close of side 2. I've seen that movie too, almost 6 minutes long. She's trying to manipulate him, but he's been down this road before. He sees through it, which is what you got to do, boys and girls out there. It's all right to get burned once or twice, but then you got to see this coming. And he's letting her know he sees it coming. It has a great guitar solo in here from the fantastic Davy Johnstone that I enjoy. What do you think of this one?
I think it's like a cool and different way of putting things. I've seen that movie too.
Pretty clever wordplay.
It's definitely a song that gets stuck in your head.
It does.
I like the way that he sings the outro.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to start off side 3. I'm going to use a Star Wars phrase, Mac. I like to call this the dark side, right? The lyrics on this side are, in the subject matter, is a little different. We're going to start off with Sweet Painted Lady. It's about a prostitute and the sailor visiting her. I guess for the sailor part, we've got birds and waves or something like that coming in. I really wasn't a fan of this song. I mean, it's all right. We got, some backing orchestra on this and the next track that was a little different for me musically, but not really feeling it. What'd you think?
It sounded the same pretty much the whole song.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
It's pretty chill. It's probably one of my least favorites on the album. It's not bad. It just is not my thing.
Yeah, it's not horrible, but it's not my thing. It probably... I've got 2 songs that are my least favorite. This will probably come in right after it or right there in that neighborhood in the lower tier. But, when you got 17 songs on an album, they're not all going to be great. That brings us to the Ballad of Danny Bailey, 1909 to 34. 4 minutes long. According to Bernie Taupin, Danny Bailey is a completely fictional. He's John Dillinger or Pretty Boy Floyd. He's my complete gangster. He was involved in the moonshine business. Now he's dead, and the cops win again, because they always do, Mac. It has nice instrumentation, that backing orchestra again. It was once again, I'm gonna be a broken record, no pun intended, on this side 3. It's just okay for me.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's nothing special. It's fine. It had nice instrumentation at the end, especially. I think that the chorus was a lot better than the verses.
Yeah, agree. That's gonna bring us to Dirty Little Girl. She's run down. She has her issues. He's piling on. That's basically what this song's about. He's telling her, and he's not bringing her up. He's trying to bring her further down. It's got a mellotron, nice electric guitar by Davy Johnstone, who saves some of these songs for me. What'd you think of this one?
I didn't really like this one that much. It was probably my least favorite.
Okay.
There wasn't really anything that made it unique or special or anything.
That's going to take us to All the Girls Love Alice, over 5 minutes long. It finishes out this dark side 3 for me. Alice is a heterosexual, maybe, teenage girl who fell into an extremely profitable career as a lesbian prostitute, leading her to either commit suicide or be murdered, I think. It's got a synth, backing vocals by Kiki D, who would later play a bigger role in Elton's career. Heavier guitar, especially at first. The drums drive it. It's pretty good. I would imagine this is a controversial song for the time. Interesting subject matter, odd subject matter, to say the least. I thought it was all right. I mean, it's like the rest of side 3 for me. What'd you think?
I thought the instrumentation was great. I think either this or Grey Seal had the best one. That was the best part of the song. I am surprised that they released it.
Boy, I was too. When I started reading the lyrics, I'm like, okay, all right, this is going to be fun to talk with my teenage daughter as we sit here in front of the camera.
Yeah, I would like to know why he decided to write this song, what made him think to write it.
One thing about Bernie, you got to give him on this album. You talk about writing about a bunch of diverse things, man. This man he cannot be accused of sticking to one subject matter, which is good for a songwriter. That brings side 3 to an end. We're going to go to the final side 4. It starts out with, your sister can't twist, in parentheses, but she can rock and roll. 242. Talks about the death of the blues, but rock and roll is on the rise. He's telling the guy his sister introduced him to it. Has a couple throwbacks to the Beach Boys in here. Heavy synth, almost a circus sound at the start of the instrumental for me. It's okay for me. Different sounds. It's a little more diverse. I definitely like side 4 more than I like side 3. What did you think of this?
I really like this one.
Okay,
it's
that's good.
Definitely one of my favorites on here. It's very fast-paced. He sings the lyrics pretty quickly. And it's just upbeat and fun.
Yeah, it is an upbeat, fun song. Now we're going to come to another song that I knew. And as we record this right now, Mac, it's Saturday, okay? And you should never fight. But if you're going to fight, Saturday nights, all right for fighting. This is a great song. It's almost 5 minutes long. It's his first single, was banned on many radio stations, fearing that the title would incite violence. 7 in the UK, 12 in the US, where it was his only single that failed to make the top 10 in the 3-year, 13-hit period between May of 72 that started with Rocket Man and October of 75 that ended with Island Girl. Lyrics discuss a night out in a town in which the narrator plans to, quote, get about as oiled as a diesel train. Bernie said the song was meant to be an American rock and roll song set in Britain, inspired by his teenage days, in particular the fistfights in his local pub. Guitar's great, instrumentation overall, really good. Elton said he wrote it on the music on a piano, of course, and usually he laid down the piano first and then the band would lay down their instruments, but this one was in reverse order. The band laid down their instruments, then he played the piano while he tried to sing and record it. His quote was, it was very hard to record, and Elton hardly ever says that from any of the stuff I've researched for him, because the guy is just a phenomenal musician. So I thought that was interesting. But usually, Mackenzie, when something's hard to record or hard to play live, one of those two things, it'll let you know it's a pretty darn good song because it's pretty intricate. What did you think of this?
This one was also pretty upbeat and fun. Yeah. They really let the good electric guitar shine, and I liked that in it. And it has more rock than all the other songs.
Yeah, it does. Next up's Roy Rogers, about 4 minutes long, has a steel guitar. Elton sings it in it just sounds like country music to me. Bernie wrote it because he liked the escapism of TV. He loved American Westerns. Roy Rogers is, of course, well, maybe not of course to you, because he was 30 years before my time, or 20 years before, but he was an American cowboy, famous on TV. This one for me is going to fall into the category of Jamaican jerk-off. I didn't think it fit here. I didn't like it. It's just the way it is, but you may love it. What did you think of it?
I loved just the lyrics and the meaning of the song. And like from that, it kind of spoke to me more on a personal level than all the rest of them. So for that reason, it is one of my favorites.
I like that. You got two different perspectives, somebody who's 13 and somebody who's obviously not. Yeah, and the lyrics on it I thought were good. you know this, I'm not a big country music fan at all. There's some classic country I like, but so whenever I hear the country in there, sometimes it turns me another direction. I mean, I like my man Johnny Cash, I like Willie, I like some of that stuff, but it was weird seeing this in the middle of a 17-song epic album to see a country track in here. We only got 2 tracks left.
And that brings us to Social Disease. It is 3 minutes and 42 seconds long, and it's basically just about how he's an alcoholic. I thought it was fine. I like the bit of country that's in it. What do you think?
Yeah, it kind of carries over a little bit of the country from Roy Rogers. My favorite part of the song was instrumentally. It starts out kind of slow and then builds, and I always enjoy tracks that do that. I think it's a nice, I don't want to call it a trick, but a nice technique in music that gets me every time. And that's going to bring us to the album closer, Harmony, a little under 3 minutes long. I thought it was fine. The lyrics basically seem to be addressed at a former lover who's come back to him. He doesn't know if she came back because he's the only friend she has left, but he's still letting her know he loves her. Elton wanted this to be released as the 4th single off the album, but his next album, Caribou, was already ready to drop. It was too close, so it wasn't released. He's convinced it would have been a #1 hit. They did eventually release it in 1980 in the UK, which is weird, and it failed to chart. It's a grander, like in the scale, than the previous 2 songs. It was fine for me. It's a fine album closer. There's a few others I would have chose to finish the album off with, just because they always remember the last thing you left them with. But what do you think?
I think it showcases his voice very well.
It does.
But there's like not really anything to say on this song for me, at least.
Fair enough. We've said a lot in 17 songs. That's going to take us to our favorite tracks. For me, the title track is by far the standout track for me. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I like Benny and the Jets. I like Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. I know it's cliched. I like the singles. There's other songs on here that are fine. There's other songs that stand out instrumentally and stuff, but those are my 3 favorites. What about you?
My favorites were Benny and the Jets.
Okay, excellent.
Your Sister Can't Twist, but She Can Rock and Roll.
That's a good choice.
And Roy Rogers, because of the lyrics.
Yeah, because you connected with the lyrics. Well, I think those are wonderful choices as well. Well, now we come to our overall score. Mackenzie, I mentioned this to you off camera. It's very difficult to rate a double album because in essence, you're going to have higher tier songs, middle tier, and lower tier. And the more songs you have, the more on average you're going to fit into the lower tier. And that's where this album was for me. I'm still going to give it a very good grade. But it's 76 minutes long. Most of the songs sound similar. I mean, there is some diversity in there. But it's a long listen if you sit down and listen to it all at once. Or it was for me the many times that I did that. That's not a knock on it. It's just 76 minutes is a long time. I'm not going to do this, but one of the fun things on double albums is go, what 4 or 5 songs could have been taken off to make it a single album? That would be a fun exercise sometime for this album. But all that to say, I'm still going to give it an 8.0. What about you?
I am also going to give it an 8.
Very high grade for a double album, folks.
Yeah, I think that there were some songs that didn't really have to be there, but then there were also some songs that were really good, and there were ones that shined in a different way, whether it's lyrics, instrumentation, his voice. Yeah,
there were very few flat out duds for me on this because, something always brought it up. Lyrics, voice, instrumentation, as you said. There's something here for everybody. Let us know what you think of this album in the comments below. Let us know what else. Where should we go next with Elton? I don't know if we'll go Elton next or not, but I know that Mackenzie will be joining me again very soon. Thank you very much. I know you put hours and hours. She put hours and hours of research. You should see her notes. Like she's a music girl and she took this very seriously. So I much appreciate that. And so does everyone out there. But until next time, guys, we will see ya.